So you want to get on stage, but not exactly sure what to do. Well, great. You need to be thinking about these four things before you even start reaching out to event coordinators, event planners, or anybody that has a conference coming up for you to speak. I've seen too many speakers that spend time just trying to reach out to people and they have nothing prepared, nothing ready. But I'm not going to go into the one-pagers and things of that nature. What I want to focus in on is actually your speech, because we need to have something ready before we go into that, before we even reach out. Yes, one-pagers, highlight reels, all these other things are important and will be beneficial and will help you to get on stage. But before that, there is something that you need to know. And in this video, we will share those four things. So let's go ahead and get into it. The very first one is, what are you going to talk about? Believe it or not, I have had people come to me saying, hey, I would love to get on stage. How do I get on stage? And the first question I ask them is, well, what are you going to talk about? Well, I can talk about anything. That's their response. I can talk about anything. And if we know anything about business, we realize that if you do anything, if you do everything, that you're going to be for nobody. Yes, maybe some people will buy some stuff from you. Yes, maybe people will be interested, but you're not going to be ultimately successful because you don't have something. And we think about something like Walmart. What was their thing that got them to be successful? They were the cheapest in the market. That's what they went for. Yes, they sell a bajillion things, but they didn't quite start there. And Amazon is another, probably even better example of that, where they started out focusing in on books. And now, of course, there's everything on Amazon. You can get anything and everything there. But they started with books. They started with one thing. Amazon started with the books. Walmart started with being the cheapest price. And so people would go there simply because of the commodity of being able to buy cheap. And that was what they promised. They would have the cheapest prices on everything. So they had something very specific that they were focused on. So for you with your speaking, before you can start speaking about anything, if you will, although I still suggest that you don't just speak about anything and everything, maybe you got a couple of subjects as you get into the speaking world more and as you become more popular. But if you're not there yet, I would focus in on one topic specifically. Maybe you have a couple that relate to it, but I want us to focus in on one because that's going to be the most beneficial for you. So first of all, what is it that you're going to talk about? That's the very first thing that you need to focus in on when it comes to you trying to get on stage. Number two, what is your end goal? Do you have an idea of what you want to do? Are you even going anywhere with this? Because maybe the idea of speaking sounds great, but does it actually line up with your goals, where you're trying to go? So you need to understand what your end goal is with this. Think about, again, with business. I want to start a business. It sounds cool. It sounds like everybody's making so much success in business, so they want to start a business. But what is your true end goal? Are you wanting time freedom? That's going to be quite a while before you can get to that time freedom. Are you wanting to have the family work-life balance that so many talk about? Business ownership, that's difficult at the beginning. And even 20 years in, I know plenty of business owners that are 10, 15, 20 years in, and they still have times where they are absorbed in their business because of the season that their business is in. And of course, this depends on your goals, your financial goals, your business goals, all of that. But still, there are seasons when you can do that. So we really need to be focused in on our end goal on top of this. You can't just say, I want to speak and then hope it happens. It's like saying you want to do something, but you have no vision for what it's going to be. Or I want to go over here. Or I want to go on vacation. Where are you going to go? I don't know. I just want to go on vacation. Could be going in your backyard on vacation. Could be going to Big Air or an amusement park. Is that something that's going to be a vacation technically? What is a vacation? How long is that vacation for? You need to have your end goal set up so you can know if you've actually achieved that or not. You can know you're going in that direction. And so people can then see that vision as well and understand, okay, this is the end goal. And that's for you as well as the event coordinators as you're going to talk to them. So the one, they need to know the speech. Two, that they kind of need to know the end goal, or you need to have that in mind so then you can know where to reach out to from there. Number three, what is your purpose with being on stage? Just like we talk about start with why, or Simon Sinek says start with why, we need to figure out why we're doing this in the first place. So we have our end goal now, and now we need to think about the purpose that we have on stage. This kind of goes back to the message that we're talking about, but these all build on each other. So what is your purpose behind that? You want to be the number one speaker in the world. Great, that's your end goal. But what's your purpose behind that? Are you trying to create impact? Are you trying to create a legacy? Are you trying to pass along information that you've learned over the decade or couple of decades that you have been speaking? What is your purpose? You're educating. You're trying to sell from stage. You're trying to build your business. You're trying to build your influence, your authority in your marketplace. What is that purpose that you have? And if that purpose aligns with the event, then it makes sense. If it aligns with your goal, then it makes sense to move forward to speak. But you need to have a purpose with it, because when we are purpose driven, we are willing to take on more no's, because guess what? You're going to get a lot of no's. You're going to get a lot of ghosts. You're going to be sending follow-up after follow-up after follow-up and hear nothing. Or you'll get a rejection right away. Hey, we're not looking for somebody of your type. But if you don't have that purpose, it's going to be hard to keep pushing forward. So you need to have a purpose before you start even looking to get on stage. And then number 4, who are you wanting to speak to and impact? So we finally figured out what you're going to talk about. We figured out your end goal. We figured out your purpose. But who are you actually going to speak to at this point? So if we break down, I'll break down myself for a second here. So what am I going to talk about? I'm going to talk about public speaking and communication in the workplace. What is my end goal? My end goal is to be able to create other thought leaders that can then articulate their message. I want to create the confidence and clarity in leaders so that way they can build up the communication within their teams, so their teams get more efficient, they get better, and they are able to start producing more within their business. And what is my purpose of being on stage? To be able to reach the thousands of people, to be able to create that impact and that education and build up that legacy for myself, but also build the legacy for those in that audience. Because it's not just about me looking cool and having the Instagram highlights on that stage. It's about getting the audience to be able to take action on that. So my purpose is through education that will create some kind of action and a catalyst in somebody else's life to be able to go build up their confidence and influence in their business and the teams that they lead. And then finally, who am I speaking to? I'm speaking to leaders, business owners, executives, people like that. And that's who I'm trying to impact, those that lead teams. And so that's really just me trying to break down, giving you a good example of what you need to be thinking about as you're creating this before you start to speak on stages. If you don't have these 4 points before you go to speak on stages, it's going to be difficult for you to continue to push through. It's going to be difficult for you to even get on stage, because the first thing is that any event host, event coordinator will ask you is, well, what do you speak on and who do you speak to? Now, they're not going to ask you about an end goal or your purpose. That's more for you. But that event coordinator will ask, what do you speak about and who do you speak to? Because they want to know, first of all, is your message one that aligns with what we are going to do at this event? And 2, they want to know, do you know this audience? If you are in the manufacturing industry, maybe it doesn't make sense to talk to a group of financial advisors, or maybe it doesn't make sense to talk to the medical hospital side of the industry. Of course, there's a medical manufacturing industry, but it may not make sense for you to talk to hospitals. It may not make sense to talk to financial institutions because you are in manufacturing. You've been speaking to manufacturing. And so those two things are why event host and event coordinators will want to ask that, and why you need to have that prepared before we go into the highlight reels, the speaker reels, the one pagers, having your website together, all that stuff. But these are the four things that you need to have. You need to have what you're going to talk about, your end goal for yourself and your speaking, since that's what we're talking about here, the purpose behind you speaking on stages, and then finally the people that you want to impact. Who is that audience?